A man sits alone in the corner of a room. There is no tension on his face, no searching in his eyes. And the most striking thing is this: he does not need anyone. You might think this man is lonely, but the truth is something else. Society says that people who live alone are broken, sad, depressed. But is that really true? Today, I'm going to show you a psychological truth that could completely change the way you think. And by the end of this video, you will understand where real strength is hidden. So listen carefully, because these ideas can change your life. First, understand this. There is a world of difference between someone who lives alone and someone who is unhappy. An unhappy person is someone who feels alone even in a crowd, someone who needs people but cannot find the connection they want. That person feels broken, incomplete. But a person who lives alone is different. They have chosen solitude. Consciously, intentionally. They did not simply leave the crowd. They outgrew the need for it. And that is where the real story begins. A story that may make you uncomfortable. Carl Jung once said that loneliness is a problem, but solitude is a gift. Solitude means meeting yourself, hearing your own voice, fighting your own demons. And that is where people who live alone often dwell. Look closely. When you are always surrounded by people, you can begin to forget yourself. You become what others want you to be. Your identity dissolves into the crowd. Your thoughts become copies of other people's thoughts. Your happiness begins to depend on their approval. But the person who lives alone has stepped outside that trap. They have understood where true freedom lies. Now here's the turning point. Why does society fear people who prefer solitude? Because they cannot be controlled. Think about it. How do you manipulate someone who does not need your approval? Someone who is not hungry for social validation? Someone who is not shaken by the opinions of others? You cannot. And that is exactly why society created a story. People who live alone are strange, antisocial, dangerous. But the truth is that people who live alone are often the most self-aware of all. They live in their own reality, not in one manufactured by others. Now let me tell you something. There are 3 major psychological traits often found in people who prefer solitude. The first is deep observation. They stay quiet because they are watching, listening, analyzing. When everyone else is talking, the solitary person is absorbing everything. They see patterns. They detect motives. They recognize lies. That ability is nothing less than a superpower. The second trait is emotional independence. A solitary person's happiness does not depend on anyone else. They generate their own energy. They find their own entertainment. They do not need a party. They do not need a group. They are complete within themselves. And the third is high standards. A solitary person does not waste time with just anyone. For them, quality matters more than quantity. They stay away from shallow relationships. They get tired of surface-level conversations. They want depth. They want meaning. And if they do not find it, they would rather be alone. But here is the big question. Are people who live alone truly happy, or is it all just a defense mechanism? Listen carefully. In psychology, there is a concept called the schizoid personality. But wait. Being solitary and being schizoid are not the same thing. A schizoid person struggles to form emotional bonds at all. They are emotionally detached. But a healthy solitary person can connect. They simply choose carefully whom they connect with. They can love. They simply choose whom to love. Do you see the difference? A solitary person is not emotionally unavailable. They are emotionally selective. Now let me share something from my own experience. I have seen both phases of life, living in the crowd and living alone. When I was in the crowd, every weekend had a plan. Parties, meetups, endless messages, and WhatsApp groups. But inside there was an emptiness, because no one really understood me. Everyone was just passing time. Everyone was hiding their own insecurities by staying surrounded by others. Then I chose solitude, intentionally. At first, it felt like something was wrong with me. People started asking, "Why do you stay alone so much? Are you sad?" But slowly, I discovered who I really was, what my real priorities were, what my real goals were. And most importantly, I realized I did not need anyone's validation. Jiddu Krishnamurti once said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." Think about that. If society itself is toxic, fake, and superficial, then is fitting into it really an achievement? People who live alone have understood this. They are not part of that rat race. They are not trying to impress everyone. They are simply living their lives without apology. And that is their greatest strength. When you are not part of the crowd, you are also free from the crowd's mindset. You make your own decisions. You do not follow trends. You create your own path. Now let me tell you a darker truth. Most people do not stay in relationships because they truly want love. They stay because they are afraid of themselves, afraid of being alone, afraid of their own thoughts, afraid of facing their own reality. So they run into crowds, into noise, into distractions. But the solitary person has already faced that fear. They have looked into their own darkness. They have spoken to their inner demons. They have accepted them. That is why they are mentally so strong. Because they have fought the battle within themselves and won. Now the question is, should everyone become a solitary person? No, absolutely not. This is not a competition. It is a choice. If you are genuinely happy being around people, if your connections are real, if your relationships help you grow, then that is perfectly fine. But if you are only with people because you are afraid of being alone, because you think being alone is abnormal, then stop and think. Life is too short to waste on fake relationships. The real truth is this: quality over quantity, depth over width, authenticity over approval. Society has sold us a story that a successful person is someone with lots of friends, a wide social circle, parties every weekend, and Instagram photos surrounded by people. But all of that can simply be a game of external validation. What is real success? Being at peace with yourself, having confidence in your own decisions, feeling comfortable in your own company. And these are the things solitary people often possess. They do not follow society's definition of success. They create their own, and that is freedom. Real freedom. Because as long as you keep living according to other people's expectations, you will remain a prisoner in your own life. People who live alone develop one very important skill: self-regulation. They know how to control their emotions. They know how to direct their thoughts. They know how to manage their energy. Because there is no one else there to hold them together, motivate them, or validate them. They do all of that themselves, and that skill makes you almost unstoppable. Think about it. If you do not depend on anyone else for your happiness, then no one can truly take it away from you. If your peace does not rely on any external source, then no one can steal that peace from you. That is real power. So now comes the real question. Is the statement, "stay away from people who live alone," right or wrong? Look, if someone who lives alone is toxic, emotionally unavailable, and hurts everyone around them, then yes, stay away. But if someone lives alone simply because they want to live life on their own terms, if they are peaceful, if they are self-aware, then understand this. You may have found a rare gem. Because solitary people are often the most loyal, the most honest, the most real. They will not use you. They will not play games with you. They will not give you fake validation. But if they let you into their circle, then understand your value. In life, there are two kinds of people. One walks with the crowd, stays safe, stays comfortable, but never truly feels alive. The other creates their own path, walks alone, takes risks, and lives a real life. Neither path is right or wrong. They are simply different. You have to decide who you want to become. But remember one thing. Whatever you choose it consciously. Choose it intentionally. Because it is your life. Your decision. If you liked this video, then like it. Share it with those who are afraid of being alone. And subscribe, because I will keep bringing you more deep psychological videos like this. Now tell me in the comments, are you someone who prefers solitude, or are you social? And why? See you in the next video.